I don't think your complaints are incorrect. I just feel like you were in a mood this time.
I have come on a mission of gravest consequence. For I am the Watcher, member of an ancient race far older than man. But though our power is great, we are pledged only to watch, never to interfere. But now mankind faces the greatest danger it has ever known. The danger of
the Watchers of Earth. 199,999.
Welcome to the Watchers of Earth 199,999. I am your host, Andrew, and joining me as always is my co-host, Seth.
Yep.
Our third co-host, Joe, couldn't be here today because what is a thing that happened? He was captured by damage control at a wedding. And our fourth co-host, Uwatu, is here, but is sworn only to watch and never interfere.
So today we watched episode 3 of Miss Marvel, which originally aired June 22nd, 2022, directed by Mira Menon and written... Well, the teleplay... Andrew, okay, buckle up, Andrew. The teleplay was written by Freddie Syborn, A.C. Bradley, and Matthew Chauncey, and the story was written by Freddie Syborn. And what they wrote, ahead of Amir's wedding, Kamala may face grave consequences due to a crucial decision she makes. So, Andrew, in a sentence or less, what did you think?
In a sentence or less, up until, the final third, I was thinking, this is such a refreshing change of pace for the MCU. And not to say that the final third is really all that bad, but that was where I was just like, I don't care about this at all. But everything up until the attack at the wedding, loved it. What about you?
Well, my sentence or less is perhaps because I just woke up and then turned it on. Up until the point of the wedding and through the wedding, I couldn't care less. I don't care about any of this Jin stuff.
Oh, I guess...
At all.
Yeah, I don't care about the Jin stuff at all.
We start off
I forgot
and she's
about that.
You're a Jin! And I'm just fucking out.
So, hard cut here. I agree. I don't care about the Jin stuff. I was just thinking, everything with her... There's, the little bits with her family, and then with the community, and with her talking with the guy, the head of the mosque. All that kind of stuff. The wedding was fun, but I don't care about the Jin. I don't understand the Jin. I don't understand their whole... I am so sick of Marvel and their... Here's our ally... Wait, never mind. They're actually a traitor. Bullshit that they keep doing. That stuff is getting old fast. And it's also it's so easy to tell that they're going to be the villains. I don't know who was fooled for the extent of this episode. I also think this show is paced strangely. I was thinking it the first 2 episodes, but I was really thinking in this one where each episode I feel involves a couple extra things that I feel could have lasted longer. Or could have been reordered to fit more logically. The big thing in this one, outside of basically, here's the Jins, more or less introduced in this episode, and then they get one scene, and then the very next scene that they're in is anyway, we're the traitors.
Well, and laughably so, because they just angrily walk towards cameras.
They are so... I don't get it. And the same thing with the wedding. The wedding is such an afterthought in the first 2 episodes, where I think it is briefly mentioned in the first episode, and then it's a little more in the second. But for all I know, it might almost all be in this. I'm sure it's mentioned in the first episode, but it might almost entirely be second episode stuff. And you said that's probably going to be the big finale of the show. And I was yeah, of course it is. That's the big set piece, and they're building it now. Nope, we're done with it already.
I kept thinking this is mid-season lull. It was... so boring. I don't disagree with you. I think we're on the same side, but we're on opposite spectrums where you said,
I think I'm focusing on the stuff I liked. And
you're I love... This is, so fresh for the MCU. And I was what about all the Jin crap? And you're oh yeah, I hate all the Jin crap. Whereas on my side, I'm just like, I'm so sick of the MCU. And you're like, what about all the family stuff? And I'm like, oh yeah, I liked all the family stuff.
And I think the Jin crap, when you mentioned it specifically as a Jin crap, I was like, oh yeah, that's like at the beginning of the episode, and it's like sprinkled throughout. I was literally only remembering at the end, and I was just like, that's just the end of the episode when the Jin come and fight, and that was stupid. And then when you said something, I was like, oh yeah, there's a whole bunch of other stupid Jin stuff before that I didn't
I
care
woke
about.
up from a nap, turned it on, and had somebody tell me, the bangle is a magical Jin bracelet, and we're all Jin from another dimension. And I was just like, fucking dunzo. Like, who fucking cares? I really don't. Again, I mean, all we are in this show is a cyclical broken record. But, like, I didn't read a ton of Miss Marvel. I, like, know her through Wikipedia pages and other crap. And she's always been someone that's really interested me. And I know that this Jin stuff isn't real. But it's just like, this is the worst. This is just so boring.
Okay, the Jin as a concept fall into the same realm as the new powers in the bangle, where I'm like, the bangle gives her, like, unlocks her powers instead of going into an inhuman cocoon. Fine. The, like, weird glowy purple crystal powers, again, like we said before, you can see where her original powers are in there. They're just not. And again, I'm just like, fine. Like, I don't like it, but if that's what I gotta do, fine. And the Jin is the same thing where it's like, okay, she's not an inhuman. Instead, she's a Jin. And that fits more into the MCU because they're doing all these alternate realities, alternate universes crap. Shang-Chi even does it where his mother's technically from an alternate universe. Like, they're all just like different realms, like Asgard was up until they just said, fuck it, Asgard's in space. And now they're just like, wait, Asgard's in space. I guarantee Love and Thunder, if it does anything, is probably going to be like, Asgard is in space, but also another realm. It's both.
It's a different dimension in space. They both happen at the same time.
And like all that stuff on paper, conceptually, I'm just like, fine. Like, I give it the slack it needs to just do it. The thing is, I don't care about it. It's not interesting. The Jin are not interesting. The Jin I don't understand, because apparently you need the bangle to unlock your powers, but they're all just like, they seem to just be people. I don't think there's anything special about them, except that they got weird cyber weapons that they just like pull off their belt buckles and it turns into a magic weapon, except for the main lady who grabs a frying pan, which I thought was
I hated everything
bonkers.
About this final. I hated this episode, man. I hated everything about this final climactic wedding/fight. I think the Jin are painfully boring, and they all walk with a little pouty face towards the camera, and I don't get it.
Their whole thing of like, you said, give me more time, which they even know, because she was reading the text, that her brother's having a wedding. So her like, hey, I need more time, could just be interpreted as like, my brother's having a wedding tomorrow.
Can we
so
do
like,
this tomorrow?
Can we
like
maybe put this
obligation.
off 24 hours? And this lady is like, she said, hold on and fuck that shit. We're gonna murder everybody at that wedding.
This lady didn't realize Kamala existed 24 hours ago, and then she was just like, hey, you need to help us get back to our home dimension. And she's like, okay, hold on. And she's like, fuck that noise. I'm not holding on. I'm murdering.
And that's, again, like, their face-heel turn in this is so jarring because of how extreme it is. Like, not only are they introduced and then turned into villains in the same episode.
Immediately, almost.
Like I said, it's two scenes. They get one scene where they all sit around, they're like, oh, Kamala, you're so great. You found family now. We'll explain your powers and everything will be hunky-dory.
And then
like, their very
shows
next
up at
scene,
the end and says, my families are going to kill you and everyone you love.
Yeah, they're in like two scenes, and one scene is we're friends, and the next scene is like, fuck you. And that's like laughably bad, but the reason for the change is even insane.
Worse.
Like, it's not like Kamala says like, hey, I can't do it. Or like, it's not even like they were saying it has to happen tonight. The blood moon is coming. The portal is only going to be open for 6 hours. We got to do this now or never.
It sounds like they're just kind of like, I don't want to live on Earth anymore.
Yeah, they keep saying like Earth will never be our home, and it's like, okay, well maybe you seem to have
be your
done
home for
fine.
like another week.
Yeah,
You've been here for 100 years. Can we just stretch it one more week while I figure this out?
It is absurd.
Stupid.
And like I said, that's full of like weird glaring little things. Like I said, it was laughable to me that the woman grabs a frying pan and it's supposed to be super sinister when she grabs it. And then we watch the rest of her team just manifest magic cyber weapons.
And do like a whole bunch of flips and stuff. I hated this. I really did.
Also, twice in the episode, Kamala just like disappears. Something happens, someone turns and looks for her, and she's gone. And I thought, oh my god, are they doing it? Does she get Shrinky Dink powers like she has in the comic? But no, it's just like weird editing where they're just like, as the camera's not directly looking at her, she's in hammer space.
Maybe you can headcanon it where she...
I don't want to headcanon anything. That is, out of all the things to headcanon, that is the smallest problem I got in this show.
I found this whole fight scene so bad.
I did too. It was uninteresting. I think some of Kamala using her powers are fine. There's like some tiny little bits that are okay. But I think it's what's around it that made it a problem. Like the fact that I did not care about why the fight was happening did not make some of the okay little bits of her using her powers worth dealing with.
So... the wedding was whatever. Again, I kind of felt this was just like a whole nothing episode, mid-season lull. Like nobody did.
I don't think you're probably wrong, but I'm going to do what you normally do to me, and I'm going to say you woke up from a nap, and I'm going to say that I think that is probably a big thing because I've noticed. I think it happens with both of us, but I've really noticed with you, your mood definitely affects what you take out of something.
And I think the wedding was fine. I guess I just mean like, and it also doesn't help that I woke up from a nap and then immediately was told that Kamala is a djinn and the djinn are from a different dimension and the bangle is a superhero bracelet from a different dimension that gives djinn powers. And I was just like, not having any of this. And then like the wedding just happened and it was fine. It was just like, it was just a scene of people dancing, which is fine. And it's not like you can't put that in a show or anything. Nothing had happened for me up to that point that made me go, hey, cool, yeah, let's take a little break and, like, watch this fun dancing scene. It was just like, and here's a dancing scene. Tell me something. Make a reason for me to watch this episode. I just didn't feel like anything... I mean, all the djinn stuff happened, but I didn't care about it. But I just didn't feel like anything really happened in this episode. But I didn't really get... like, the djinn show up to the wedding... or the reception, and Kamala pulls the fire alarm, and so everybody gets out. But then the djinn and Kamala just kind of fight a bunch, and then they go into the kitchen, and Kamala's like, gotta get out. And they're like, no, we're fine, whatever, we're making food. And I thought, isn't there a fire alarm going off?
I thought the same.
Why isn't anybody getting out of the fire alarm?
It's because they wrote the hilarious joke where the guy knocks out one of the people, and then the one cook lady is like, fuck that.
Oh, hell no. I mean, it felt really lazy, and especially then, like, I didn't really understand why the djinn were all, Kamala, you need to help us get home. And she said, oh, hold on a second. And then they said, let's fuck her up. Let's just, like, kick the shit out of her. Like, what was that going to gain? They weren't even trying to capture her. They were just, I mean, she wasn't even really fighting back.
This is the most where I have felt like all the Marvel shows have had a bit where the show just kind of like pivots and it turns into something different. And there's a lot of just like kind of jumping to conclusions and just kind of like running face first into an ending. And usually it's in the back half. It's usually the first three are fine. And then it's like the back half is where you just kind of like start jumping to things and the show goes, okay, well now we got to move. Like we meandered for 3 episodes and now it's time to just do our stuff because we had too much for a 2.5 hour movie, but not enough to justify like a 12 episode series. But honestly, like some of these I feel like should be longer because you need more time to breathe. Because like I said, it just kind of like rapid fired all over the place. And this is where I felt like the show's just like kind of kicking into gear and not in a good way. But like it just kind of realized like we said the first 2 episodes, like I don't really know what the plot was. And if the plot is just Kamala is a girl who gets powers and also struggles, you know, with her family and her friends and her community, and now she's also got these powers ostracizing her from everyone else, that is more than enough to carry a story. But this is the MCU, so it has to be bigger than that.
We have to have alternate dimension djinns and magic bracelets. Ugh.
And that's just like, that's my big problem with these is I don't know. It also doesn't help. The first 2 episodes I felt were long. Not necessarily bad long, but like I had kind of said in episode 2 that I couldn't figure out what the plot of the episode was because it was kind of just like B-plot setup. Mm-hmm. But this episode felt really short. And I'm sure you disagreed because you hated it. And
actually, I don't think I really noticed it one way or the other.
When it hit credits, I was like, are we really already done?
It just kind of existed for me. Again, because I just kind of felt like it was things happening. It didn't really, at least in episode 2, like B-plots I felt like were happening. In episode 1, it was all set up. This, I understand things happened, but things just happened.
The B-plots that were set up in episode 2 are almost all more or less resolved in episode 3. The wedding happens. Bruno tells Kamala about going to, is it Stanford?
University of California, I think.
Oh, sure.
Caltech or something.
Nakia wins the election, and then also Nakia finds out about Kamala's powers, which is just brushed past.
I mean, I assume they'll do something with... There's still time to do something with that. I feel like Bruno's...
Oh, I agree. I'm just saying, like, it feels like it just kind of like, I don't know. I thought Nakia's thing was going to be... I think the big problem with this episode is this is the episode where I felt like, okay, the show is not about everything I've been watching so far. The show is about...
Punchy Hitty.
The show is about the Djinns and their plight and how they're the big villains of the season. And that's not as interesting because it felt like I thought Nakia's thing was going to be going on in the background, and Nakia was going to be running for this campaign, but she would need Kamala's support, but Kamala was going to be too busy caring about her superpower stuff, and there was going to be some kind of super life, normal life balance going on. Nope, it's already done. I thought the wedding was going to be a big thing leading up to the wedding. And, she's not paying attention to her brother and his wedding. And she's not, it's a big family affair. And she's not caring the way that she's supposed to because she's too busy caring about her power stuff. Nope, wedding's already done. And it felt like it was getting all of that out. And I could be proven wrong, but it felt like it was getting all that out of the way so that the next episode can be all about, these more people breaking out of the damage control facility and coming to kill Kamala. And they don't even, I don't know. And we know that there's a second Bengal out there somewhere. So that's going to be a thing.
They're going to fight evil Ms. Marvel.
Yeah.
That's the worst. I don't want to sit through 3 more episodes of fucking bullshit Djinn crap.
I don't care about the Djinn thing. In the fact that, I don't mind it. I don't like the Djinn, and I don't like what they're contributing to the story. But Kamala being a Djinn, I don't care. It's fine. What's the difference between... in the end, she doesn't need to be an Inhuman. She could be a Djinn because the Inhumans don't exist in this universe. It's a different explanation. The Djinn are the same as, the Asgardians or the Shangri-La people from... It's not Taolo? Whatever the Shang-Chi...
That memorable place?
Yeah, whatever that was called. It could be the same. They're just people from an alternate universe that may or may not have supernatural abilities. I don't care. It doesn't make a difference to me. I think it is completely fine that she is a Djinn. So, you may hate the Djinn stuff. I don't hate the Djinn stuff. I hate the Djinn stuff as the characters and what they are contributing to the story.
I think that's fair for me, too. I just don't care.
Plus, I don't understand them. They seem to be beyond human. They keep saying they are not human, they don't belong on this earth. They are beyond human. They're Djinn. But at the same time, they don't seem to have any abilities. They need a Bengal to do it, I guess. So, I don't really understand what their threat is until they get a hold of the Bengal and then there's evil Ms. Marvel. I know that, they are a threat to Kamala, but, I also thought Kamala was going to, come out to her family. Or, I saw promotional pictures and stuff, and... I think it's in the trailer of her, using her powers in this wedding setting. So I thought, maybe this was going to be a thing where, she was talking about, it'd be nice to have a hero who fights for us and all that. And there's, the talk of all that. I thought this was maybe going to be a thing where, people in the community find out, or at least her family finds out. And then she, builds a support group there. But that doesn't happen. And that's fine. But, I don't know. I thought she was going to tell her parents at the end, but then she goes home and then they're like, did you pull the fire alarm? Because we believe the crazy blind lady that got her license or her driver's license revoked. And then she just stares at him. And then they're like, whatever's going on, we just want to help you. You can tell us. And she's like, I can't tell you. And I'm like, why?
I don't know. I'm fine with that. That's par for the course.
It's par for the course.
I know. I say that after all the Djinn crap is yeah, that's also par for the course.
That is something where I get it and I get that tension. But I
didn't need her to tell her parents this episode.
I don't need her. I'm just saying, why? At this point, what does it serve to not tell them?
Well, I think a big thing is that she doesn't really know what's, she doesn't understand it yet. And it's, a big thing, and,
especially since her grandmother seems to know something. She, at the end, her grandmother calls her and says, hey, I had a vision of the train. You did, too.
We gotta globetrot for the show. We gotta
globetrot. We gotta abandon all the subplots we set up. That's why we got the wedding and the election out of the way. We gotta globetrot. I forgot that was the thing, that she has to come visit her.
To Karachi.
That's fine, but it's also just it doesn't feel like the show has a focus.
It does. It's just not what we want it to be.
I guess, but Moon Knight felt the same way. Moon Knight was just and now we globetrot. But it didn't really matter. It just was I feel like the Marvel shows are doing broad stroke stuff. It's putting the idea out there and then not really doing anything with it and then moving on. And I'm judging Ms. Marvel on an episode that I said I didn't mind. But like 3 episodes in, I'm getting worried. Moon Knight, 3 episodes in, I got worried, and by 6 episodes, I was right. And I think Moon Knight so far has been the worst offender of the Marvel TV shows. I did not care for Loki. I thought Falcon and Winter Soldier was boring, but fine. But like, Loki is probably the worst overall for what it puts out into the world, and its like mission statement is just kind of like frustrating. But I think like Moon Knight, I think, is the biggest mess. And I'm worried that this is going to go the route of Moon Knight, where it's just like throwing ideas and then not doing anything with them. Because everything I found interesting has more or less been resolved in this episode. And with the globetrotting potentially happening next,
we're not going to see a lot of people.
Yeah, it feels like we're going to abandon it. And I mean, globetrotting is got to be harder to do. Like, it's not like she can just buy a ticket and leave. She's got to talk. Her mom has to come too, because that's what her grandmother says, and she's got to convince her mom. Which, again, I don't know why. Like, she's got to tell her mom something. So, like, maybe it's not going to happen right away. Maybe it's going to happen in the episode after. But I feel like this is moving at such an accelerated rate now. I just don't know.
The only thing I really care about anymore is, I assume there will be another scene regarding Nakia and learning about Kamala and all that stuff. And that's kind of the only thread I'm still interested in. And we're going to Karachi, so she won't be in it. I don't know, is Red Dagger supposed to be on the show? I thought I heard something. I guess you could have him in Karachi. I don't know. I'm just so sick of interdimensional. I'm not gonna lie. You're not wrong in being like, who cares about the fucking Jinn? And I'm sitting here and I'm so hung up on him. And I'm just like, I just wanted like this like fun, down to earth, like high schooler getting powers story. And I feel like the show is just like, also, but aren't you more, that's boring. Don't you want interdimensional monsters? Superpowered beings from another dimension? That's way cooler. And it's just like, I know what you're saying, but no. It's just more of the same, I guess, to me. It's just, why couldn't she just be like a high school girl?
We have not seen the school since the opening scene of the 2nd episode. And again, that seems unfair because this is episode 3, so that was literally last episode. But it feels like everything's moving at like a weirdly accelerated rate. And I think some of that's just perception, because I'm 3 episodes in, but I'm also at the halfway point of a 6-episode series.
And I mean, like we're only going to get more into the Jinn stuff. Why did Bruno give her a mask?
Okay, that was it. I was trying to think. I talked last episode about how she like practices her powers and keeps failing, and then the last scene of it, we see her suddenly just able to do it, and then she seems like real nervous when she's going to save the kid, and I felt like we should have cut out that bit where she figures out her powers and she has to figure them out on the spot with the kid, and I just felt like things are ordered weird, and I was thinking there was something that was out of order in this one, and I couldn't remember what it was. It was the mask, because he gives her the mask, and she like smiles, like she smirks like, yeah, I figured myself out, I'm gonna be my own thing. But then like the very next conversation she has is about like maybe she shouldn't be doing anything, and I was just like, I don't get this. Like, the mask is just there for a tease, but it, like, she doesn't wear it. I thought she was gonna like put it on at the wedding, but she doesn't. Why does he even
give it to her? Why is it even?
It's there to be a tease. Like, that's why. Like, I don't know why in universe he's doing it, other than to just, I don't know. I don't even really know what to say about this episode anymore. I vented my little bit, but like I felt like the episode was kind of in and out. It makes me nervous. I was excited to watch this episode because I liked episode 2 and I didn't mind episode 1, and I was really looking forward to this. But like all said and done, I still enjoy the show. I'm still hoping that it pulls through, but this made me feel like it's jettisoning everything but the MCU crap, and going forward, it's all Jinn all the time. And I kind of just don't care about any of that.
Yeah, I keep looking at this time on Audacity, and I'm just like, I really don't know what else to say. You
mentioned Red Dagger, and I didn't know he was going to be in the show, and I just Googled it to see, and they said they cast like their stuff with the actor cast for it. And I was like, yeah, but he could just be playing the guy who is Red Dagger, but isn't actually Red Dagger in the show. You know, it's just a name drop. He's just like some guy.
Oh, yeah. But
there seemed to be a picture of him wearing the scarf and everything. So apparently he's in here, but I'm also just like, how do you fit him into this?
You put him in Karachi?
I mean, I guess, and he's a point of contact there, but I guess I still don't understand what the focus of the show is. I don't understand what the story it's trying to tell is at this point. I just know that it seems to be predominantly this Jin stuff, and the Jin are the most uninteresting antagonists in the world.
Yeah, they are. I don't know. I really don't care about it. I really don't know what to say with this one. I was super pumped for I loved all the B-plot stuff in the last episode, and this was I just don't care. It's hard to make me care about it. I don't know what, like you, I don't know what else to say. It lost me. You said you were really excited for this episode because you liked the second one, and I mean, I guess I was, because the last episode was probably the most I've liked the Marvel thing. I mean, I guess I say that we just watched Multiverse of Madness not too long ago, but like, I don't know. I just woke up from a nap and watched it and said, I don't care. I want a fun, like, coming of age high school story with superpowers, and the show wants to get interdimensional superpower beings into their home dimension. I don't care. I really don't.
Seth, give me 2 put-ups and a put-down.
It didn't do much here, but I liked when Nakia sees her and she's like, what's going on? And I thought, again, I imagine we will revisit this, because I think it's poor storytelling if we do not.
I'm sure we will. I just feel like it's going to be like a conversation next episode before they leave, or she leaves, then she comes back. And
either way, I was fine with this little tease of a scene later. I know that might seem like a cop-out, but I didn't mind this scene of just like a little bit of like, what's going on? And then Kamala leaves, and then she's like talking to Bruno a little bit about just like, I mean, it's nothing, but
I like how every episode you give a put up or something and you say that's a cop out.
I said it might be a cop out,
but I keep thinking like the bar is so low. We did an entire like season and a half of Power Rangers where
I'm trying to be better.
Every single episode you said your put down was Alpha 6,
and I came into this show saying I wanted to do put ups and put downs a little more.
No, I'm just saying I'm giving you credit here where I'm just like, the bar is so low. I don't think anything you've been saying is a cop out. I'm just like, that seems like whatever you think is a put down is a put down, as long as you're not just fucking Alpha 6.
My second put up is going to be real hard, man. I guess like the little party thing before the wedding might have been good. The Moss guy has he has a weird scene where he says, what's going on back there? Also, here's like the with great power comes great responsibility line for this property, and then leaves. And I thought maybe Kamala was a little too on the nose, where she was like, I have a friend who has superpowers, but I think people hate her. What should I do? What should she do? Did you feel that?
A little bit, but not that much.
I don't know. That whole kind of party thing was, I want more of this familial stuff, and having powers and dealing with everyday things is where my interests lie. My put down is going to be, are you going to say the fight?
Who knows? You speak.
I think you're going to say the fight. So I'm going to say literally the first like frame of the show when they said, you're a Jin and we're from a different dimension and their bangle is a super bangle Jin machine. And I just forget it. I can't do I know, like, that's the thing with Marvel properties, that, like, they're not all on Earth and crap, and yada, yada, yada. I love Cosmic Marvel, but I don't know. I can't, man. I can't have everything I watch end up being some sort of mystical dimensional space race. I can't.
My first put up is going to be, I like the wedding. I liked the dance. I liked the party beforehand. I liked the conversation between her dad and her brother before the wedding. I liked, like you said, the little Uncle Ben with great power thing with the guy from the mosque.
I don't know how it works, and I keep wanting to call him the Muslim father. I don't know I don't know what the term is.
But I liked all that stuff. Put up number 2. Ooh, why did I lump all that stuff together?
Sheik Abdullah. Okay.
Put up number 2. I liked when Kamala's dad showed up at Bruno's work to buy a pastry. I think he is fun.
Here's, not to tear you down, and like, I don't disagree with you, but this episode just had so much stuff that just wasn't anything. Like, I agree watching the dad be like, oh, can you keep a secret? I want to buy this little Debbie cake. And I know the point of the scene was for him to read lore, Jin lore, but like, it just felt like a thing that happened.
I don't know what to tell you.
Not like a thing that mattered.
It was a way to get Jin lore information out there without, I don't know, having Kamala and Bruno sit in a room and he pukes it at her.
I guess I also just didn't need it. I don't know.
I know, but you hate all this stuff.
I hate
you never
all that
need
stuff.
anything. I'm just shrugging and saying like it did what it needed to do. It gave information that gives context. I'm fine with it. Yes, it gave information on the Jinn that gives some kind of context. Does it matter? No. You can cut that scene out, and I don't think anyone is worse off for it. But it gave a conversation between two characters that aren't every other character. Like, it's nice to see two characters talking that aren't Kamala and someone, or Kamala and Bruno almost all the time.
I agree.
It gave that scene where that information would have been Bruno and Kamala talking and gave it to somebody else. So, I don't know. You can be pissed all you want. You woke up from a nap. I'm just giving it the benefit here. I thought that scene was fine. I think the dad is fun. I think this little pastry thing was fun. I think character quirks are fine, and they don't need to be there doesn't need to be a reason other than just have a scene that is serving a different purpose and also utilizing it to be like, and here's a little character quirk just for funsies. Because otherwise, you're just expositioning.
You're not wrong. This episode just felt like a nothing burger to me, man. Anyway, sorry. We're at 44 minutes and not even edited, so I'm trying to fill airtime.
Don't do that on my behalf. I'd love to edit a short episode. My put down is going to be, I had something.
Sorry.
And then you said something and I've completely lost it. So my put down is going to be the fight, obviously. I didn't really care about, actually, my put down is going to be the Jinn in general. They are just not interesting. The entire cast, their reason for starting the fight that happened, all of it, the way that damage control just shows up and carts them off, completely nothing. But a minor put down is going to be, I hate any time someone is about to tell someone else information that is going to make everything less stressful and more convenient, and then something happens that prevents them from doing it. And it's even worse when the something that happens is somebody says something, like someone cuts them off to say something that makes them change their mind. Same thing happened. I was watching Superman and Lois today, in not this week's episode, but last week's episode. The same thing happened where somebody was about to say something that was going to make everything easier. And then somebody burst into the room to say something that didn't matter. But then they went, you know what, never mind, I'm not going to say this thing. And then it came to a head this episode where that person found out and then they got mad, and it was just like, this is such a waste of time. And in this, I believe there's a moment when Nakia comes in after the election and after I keep wanting to say Doom Patrol, Damage Control shows up. Kamala, I believe, is about to tell her about her powers. And then Nakia looks past her at her computer and sees Nightlight, or whatever the hell she's called, and starts complaining about how terrible she is. And Kamala stops. And that, I think, is just to be like, Kamala wasn't trying to keep a secret from her friend that we never wrote a scene where she would have told her, so that Nakia can still get mad at the end of the episode when she finds out. I hate that shit. That's like one of my pet peeves. I fucking hate it. It's the same thing as like, stupid love triangles where two people are obviously pining for each other, but then one of them goes like, I'm finally going to tell the other one. And they go in and they find out that the other person is about to go on a date. And they're like, oh no, I can't do it now because this needs to last for 6 seasons. That stuff just like, it's like the artificial like tension that could easily be written out of a scene. Same thing, we brought it up in No Way Home, where everything could have been easier if Peter and Doctor Strange just like stopped and talked about things instead of Peter needing to constantly yammer and nobody asking any questions and everybody just kind of like doing shit. I fucking hate it. It really just bothers me. So
I agree with the love triangle thing, but I didn't have like you with everything I've said this episode. I didn't have a problem with the Nakia stuff. I see what you're saying.
I can't remember the specifics of the scene, so maybe I made it up in my head. But I believe Kamala was about to say something.
I think she was too.
And I was like, just say it, like especially because like Nakia, as I understand it, is supposed to be like one of her best friends. But then when Nakia is like, that Starlight person sucks, or Nightlight, or whatever the hell she's called, she sucks. And I was just like, you really think? Like, is your friendship built on such poor foundation that you don't think you could tell her and explain this and still keep your friendship intact? And I know that, like, teenagers' tensions run high and constant self-doubt and all that, but, like, I don't know. I hate that shit. And it felt like it was all just to, like, reinforce that Nakia doesn't know so that it could have a quote-unquote better, like, bigger impact when she finds out at the end. I don't care for that stuff. It feels so artificial to me.
I don't think you're wrong in that it's artificial, and I guess I just didn't really... Like, I'm fine playing a little bit with this, like, haven't told Nakia yet. I don't know why. I think those two are really good together, and I think their scenes are...
I'm fine with not telling Nakia. I just think the explanation for how Nakia doesn't know when clearly she could is not great. And it's hard to write a reason why. Like all these, usually the superhero thing is like, I can't tell them because if they know my secret, they'll be in danger. And I'm like, fucking how? I've always hated that. Like, I can't let someone know about my secret identity because if they know, all of my villains will come after them. And I'm like, why would they come after, like, what does them knowing have anything to do with it?
Are they telling the villains?
Yeah. That's stupid. Anyway.
Thanks for hanging out with us. If you like this, tell a friend. If you didn't, then lie to a friend. Check us out on Twitter at SoHowAbout. You can find me on Twitter at SethKumpf. You can find Andrew on Twitter at TessuDownist. And subscribe to us on YouTube at SoHowAbout.
And join us next time when we do this once more with Interference.
Watcher. Boop.
Seth, now that the mics are off.
Andrew, I
What
am
are we
so
watching
glad
after your
you
nap
asked.
next week?
We're watching episode 3.
4.
Episode 3. It's going to be called...
Episode 4.
We're watching episode 3 again. See if we like it better the second time. We're going to watch episode 4 of Miss Marvel, in which I assume they go to Karachi and Jin stuff happens. And we see Red Dagger, maybe. And then Jin stuff happens. And the high school stuff doesn't matter. Nobody cares about that.
Never does.
We're here to... No, we don't want to watch that. We want to watch extra-dimensional beings do superpower things. That's the good stuff. Not that I'm bitter.